Row 7, row 8, yeah, everybody's there. Okay, watch the lights will be the cry very shortly as Lottie raises a red flag and says, oi, you lot, watch that lot. And the lights will go to red. And then about 2 seconds later, they will go out. Here we go, 1001, 1000. Oh, a little bit sooner. Oh, that might have been a jump out the back there. Not 100% sure. We've got people on the start line watching these things, but it's a big gaggle of bikes going down into red gate for the first time. And I'll tell you what, mate, I can't tell one from the other. This isn't.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah, because I was watching in the middle of the pack there, and in the middle of row 6, bike number 27, Richard Hayward went pretty much skyward and on the initial jump there. But Richard Hayward, I suspect, maybe losing a few positions on the run down toward Redgate. But just as we say that, they're already through the left-hander of Craner Curves at the bottom there. Now over to the right-hander of Old Hairpin, and there's a bit of a gap between second and third place. And I wouldn't mind putting a bit of money on saying that Finn Chalk and Alfie Davidson will be fighting at the front of this one as they come back into our view up towards Schwanson McLean's there, Keith. And from a distance, it looks as though that could well be the purple and the yellow of number 39, Dan North, who was third on the grid.
Okay, yeah, well, you're right. The front two, I don't think you're going to get good odds down at Will Hills for that particular summation, mate. They were certainly the class of the field earlier, and a bit like the rookie thousands, we saw the two top riders absolutely sprinting away, didn't we? In this particular race earlier, we saw Finn and Alfie. Their best laps were in the 46s, 46.5 actually, 46.
Oh, somebody's run on, a coppice there. You can see somebody in the gravel. So they'll be rejoining at the back of the field with a lot of work to do. But through the chicane already, Finn Chalk leads Alfie Davidson, and Dan North has dropped 2 positions here. And that looks like McRae just in front in 4th place there, but there's going to be lots of chopping and changing there. And just as we say that, there's about 3 changes of position in towards Melbourne Loop there. They all bunch up towards the apex of that right-hander. Abigail Marshall just finding a way through on the inside on 2 riders. So Abigail Marshall, bike number 31 and championship leader in the C1 class by 1 point coming into this race, actually. She is right there in contention, but the leading 2 already across the line. It was Finn Chalk leading Alfie Davidson by a 1/4 of a second, but Davidson pulls out of the slipstream, looks for an inside move, but Chalk says no and holds on around the outside there for the number 87. Does he run it a little bit wide there? Alfie Davidson still has that inside line, and that will be the prime line as they go through Hollywood in towards Craner Curves. But further down the order there, McRae makes up 6 positions in 3rd place ahead of Swift, Corty, North, O'Hara, McPherson, Kershaw, Woodall inside the top 10 ahead of Carver, Sugden and Osborne. Marshall up next ahead of Harker, Carter, Horner, Hayward, Gregory, and at the number 72 of McMillan.
Well, look at the pace of the front 2. Chalk and Davidson 6 seconds a lap quicker than anybody else on the opening lap. And they were typically 4 or 5 seconds quicker than anybody else last time out. So you're right, I think Chalk and Davidson are very much the ones to beat out here. So they go across the back butt line there, and it is Chalk, I think, just ahead of Davidson. Davidson's actually got the fastest first sector time there. So we'll wait and see. There's a bit of a chop change there between, I think, Corty and North maybe. A few other positions are going out in a slightly different order, but most of them pretty much staying where they were as they make their way to the back straight, whilst the leaders are already into the foggy chicane to come out of that, and they are nose to tail quite literally. That
is Alfie Davidson going up the inside of Finn Chalk.
That's Chalk leading.
Oh,
well,
Chalk late on the brakes.
Jeez, he's good on those brakes down there, isn't he? That was so late. Alfie Davidson better come up with plan B if he wants to find a way past, certainly down there. And again, we see that gaggle of bikes arguing over 3rd place, 3 abreast into the hairpin as Chalk continues.
Oh, Chalk's wide. Chalk was wide as they went in towards Goddard's there, and Alfie Davidson just has the inside and retakes the race lead away from Finn Chalk there. So we was watching in towards Goddard's as Finn Chalk goes to the outside of the circuit there. They're almost side by side, and there's a little bit more speed there from Finn Chalk around the outside of Alfie Davidson, and reclaims that race lead once again over Alfie Davidson.
Yeah, tell you what, he got the drive. I know he went wide, but he must have used that drive to his advantage. Just slingshot his way out of the corner. Somebody there looking down. The 37 machine was that just coming across the line. Hang on, maybe not. Maybe I got it wrong there, mate. Somebody who's just looking down at their bike, going a little bit slowly. Nobody pulling off at the end of the pit lane there, so hopefully they're going to be able to keep in their pursuit of those leaders. Look at the lap time of 47.7. Well, we do know that the hots around here on these machines are 46.5, so there's around about another. They're still coming through, yeah.
Yeah, because it keeps going in and out, unfortunately, yeah. So, race leaders, we're looking up towards the far end of the circuit once again, over the top of the crest into Coppice, and it's Finn Chalk, from what we can see here, who has the race lead still, as he goes purple in sector number 1. So earlier on in the race this afternoon, it was a 1 minute 46.5 for Finn Chalk. At the moment, we're in the 47.7s, but Finn Chalk has the purple sector at the moment, so through the chicane and on towards the Melbourne Loop now. 87 leads the 19, but Alfie Davidson is coming in, he's coming quickly, he's looking for the inside, but Finn Chalk so late on the brakes.
Chalk is so strong down there, isn't he?
He is, you can say he brakes a little bit later, runs a bit deeper it would seem, and almost squares off Melbourne Loop.
And look at him, he gets a good drive out of the corner as well, and that totally decimates his rivals' chances of claiming any more space as that huge gaggle of machines goes into the hairpin once again. Half a dozen bikes all arguing over the positions down there. Really good action stuff. This is what we're used to seeing, this whole gaggle of bikes. This is what CB500 racing used to be like in Thundersport, simply because all of them were so even.
Dan North up the inside, sorry, of Jake Corty and the number 30, the 71, I believe, of Swift. We'll get confirmation of that one in just a moment's time. But Jake Corty up the inside. In fact, it was Adrian Kershaw and Sean O'Hara. But Corty was on the move on that one. Sean O'Hara, in fact, drops 2 positions ahead of Carver and Woodall.
Luke McRae increasing the family silverware collection there as he comes across the line in 3rd place, second in class, of course, because we forget that Chalk and Davison are strictly speaking in different classes, but as Matt was saying earlier, it doesn't matter who's in front of you, you just want to beat that bike. It's as simple as that. Lots of chopping and changing as Swift drops 2 places, Kershaw goes up 2 places. We see O'Hara going back by a couple, Carver making up 1, Woodall going backwards. Pete not having a strong weekend by his very high standards, to be fair. McPherson moves up 2 to make up his way into 4th. Obviously, there's lots of class changes as well. Class C1 being led by Chalk, C2 being led by Davidson, and C3, the leader in that at the moment, is Richard Hayward there. So lots of trophies and medals to be handed out this evening as the leaders make their way back up towards the Foggy S's once again. They're going to be coming across the line this time, and they're going to be saying a quick hello to the last lap flag. So again, we see Chalk just that little bit quicker, though he's picking up the slipstream.
I think round the outside, in fact. He had a look.
I think Davidson knows he's going to struggle to beat Chalk down there, but Davidson, I think, needs to get the drive and have maybe a stab here, because Chalk goes a little bit defensive there. I'm sure he was just moving for the inside pass. So this is where Davidson needs to suddenly get the drive, come down the straight, pick up the slipstream. He's got to go now as the last lap flag goes out. Davidson going to be looking for an inside pass down into Redgate for this, the last time they're going to attack this corner at this speed. And it looks like Chalk's going to try and hold the outside, but no, his rival forces him wide and gets a gap of about 2 bike lengths, I should say. So they make their way down through Hollywood. They're going to be appearing on our screens down through the Craner curves very shortly. They are nose to tail all the way down the hill as McPherson passes McRae, Corty, Swift, North, Kershaw, O'Hara, Carver, Woodall, Osborne, Horner, Marshall, Sugden. That's your top 15 or so bikes as the leaders now make their way up the Starkeys Bridge and then up to the old hairpin.
Oh, yellow flags at Melbourne Loop here, unfortunately. Melbourne, yellow flags going out there, and no overtaking in towards Melbourne. If that yellow flag is still there on this final lap when the leaders get there. And
look at that, the marshals were a long way out of the corner there. They're picking up a bike, so I don't see a rider there, but it is yellow, so hopefully no damage to the rider. He's just slid off into the scenery and leaving the marshals to pick the bike up.
Well, it looks like the number 64 machine of Robert Flint, the man from Derby, has not come across the line on this lap. The race
so out the back is Davison going purple, and it's a yellow there for Chalk. That can only mean fractions of a second, but it does show that Davison definitely not giving up on this one. Here they come then, and this time Davison's got an early run there. It's going to be a yellow flag though. They're side by side. He's already ahead, technically speaking. Geez, you call that an overtake? Oh, that's very difficult.
Call that one.
yeah, you know what I mean? That's a very they were literally side by side. There was, I would say, Davison was a wheel length in front there, which he has actually, so they haven't technically changed position. That is a very tough one for the Clarks of the course to call as they make their way up to the hairpin once again, and this time it is going to be a win for Davidson. So fair play. Alfie Davidson does indeed take the win from Finn Chalk, and I would say, to be fair, when they came into the braking zone where the yellow flags were waving, I would have said Davidson was about half a wheel length in front, so technically I'm guessing Chalk was obliged to give way, but I don't think he'll see it like that somehow. We'll have to wait and see, but the yellow flag's definitely fluttering, very clear for all to see, but they were literally side by side, so Yeah, if I'm going to get called as a witness to that one, I think I might plead the fifth and have done with it at the end of the day. Okay. Oh, somebody's lobbed it on the last corner there. Unfortunately, yellow machine. With
It's Abigail Marshall.
It's Abby, is it? Oh, no. That's a great shame. It's Abby Marshall, one of the good girls of racing. She's sulking away. Abby's absolutely fine. And she'll be very, very annoyed with herself there, making a mistake at the last possible moment.
So yeah, as you said there, Keith, Abby is perfectly fine up and walking off to the side of the circuit. In fact, she just stood alongside the Armco, the tyre barriers, sorry, the